Our World in Depth. Our World in Depth features analysis of public affairs with consideration of and participation from Twin Cities area activists. The show is mostly locally produced and not corporately influenced. Today we have with us Harry McAllister. Harry McAllister is a Communist Party organizer, a civil rights activist, an educator, and an African-American historian. In 1980, Harry worked with the United League in Mississippi against the Ku Klux Klan. Also with us is Michael Wood. Michael Wood is also a Communist Party activist. He is a longtime fighter in struggles against racism, war, and poverty. Michael is a great supporter of the labor movement. Michael was one of the leaders who built a 2001 protest against the Ku Klux Klan in Minnesota, and he also protested against George W. Bush and the Republican National Convention in New York City in 2004. Harry, welcome.
Thank you, Eric.
Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Comrade.
Before we get too involved in any kind of philosophical questions, I'm wondering, we've titled the show Socialism USA, so we can talk later about, the difference between socialism and communism, if there is a difference. But I just wondered what the Communist Party in Minnesota is.
Certainly. It's many things. I think I would define it primarily as a revolutionary Marxist-Leninist working-class party that's dedicated to the struggles of the working class and the broad masses of American people, and internationally. For a very long time, we are a revolutionary organization that's been around since 1919. The Communist Party was involved in some of the struggles you read about from the Great Depression. The Communist Party was in the forefront against Jim Crow, racist lynching in the South. It fought for unemployment assistance. It fought for many progressive things throughout its history.
I think you mentioned working class. What is the working class?
What is the working class? In Marxist terminology, as defined by footnote number 12 of the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels, are those, the broad majority of us, who do not own the means of production. The means of production, how we produce life's necessities. The means of production, the machines, the tools, the land, the factories, the mills, the mines. The working class, or in classical Marxist literature, the proletariat, are those who do not own those means of production. Unlike the capitalist class, unlike the tiny handful that do, in fact, own the means of production for this country, the working class does not own those means of production, and we are forced to sell our labor power, our ability to work to the capitalist for wages, for our paychecks.
Thank you. Are there communists that many of us might be familiar with, famous communists throughout American history?
Yes, Eric. Quite a few Americans, particularly in the 1930s, joined the Communist Party. We know of Paul Robeson, the great opera singer, actor, and lawyer. In the late 1950s, W.E.B. Du Bois joined the Communist Party because he thought the Communist Party represented the only alternative towards fighting the type of racism which was rampant in the United States at that time. And also Richard Wright, which the great African-American poet and writer, was also a member of the Communist Party at one time.
I remember reading Black Boy when I was in high school. Very good book. I think some Minnesotans might be familiar with Gus Hall also.
Yes.
And I just learned tonight that he was from Virginia, Minnesota.
Yes, he was.
And he ran for president with the Communist Party, is that right?
Yes, he ran for president on the Communist Party ticket, I think at least 2 times. one in the 70s and one in the 60s,
Okay.
if I'm correct about
Okay.
that.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. And we're talking about the Communist Party here in the state of Minnesota and nationally. For me, it's confusing, and I think for a lot of people, it's confusing. We don't know the difference between the terms communism and socialism, or communist and socialist. Is there a difference? And if so, what is it?
There is a distinct difference. According to Marx, socialism is a phase where people will collectively come together and build a collectivist society. But in that society, needs are going to be based on your ability. And basically, in a socialist society, everyone will not be totally equal. There will still be a state which will function. In the period of communism, that state is supposed to politically and economically wither away. And we enter a period of statelessness. At that period, there will be only one class, and that is the working class. And then we will be in a period of where we have absolute equality. Now, these are theoretical concepts. No society yet has reached the point of communism, but it's something that we communists do strive to get there. But that is in a future date. What we communists advocate at this particular time is first an anti-monopoly government, an anti-corporate government, and the later phase will be a socialist government based on the will of the people.
So if I understand you correctly, it's sort of socialism is the path towards communism.
Communism.
Okay. And is Marxism the same thing? I mean, is Marxism just sort of the philosophy that socialism and communism both have?
We would refer to it as Marxism-Leninism. The first part of the philosophy was developed by Karl Marx and Engels, and the second part of the philosophy was developed by Vladimir Lenin of Russia, who built the first socialist or communist state in the world. Okay. Now, there are other groups in the world that claim to represent or advocate different types of socialism. And if you look in the world, you have in Africa, there's African socialism. You have in the Middle East, like in the Arab world, you have Arab socialism. But Marxism-Leninism is a specific type of socialism that is class-based. One, we fight for the hegemony of the working class and its allies. Secondly, we fight for internationalism. In other words, there's no distinct difference between workers in Mexico and the U.S. or Asia or Europe. And thirdly, we fight for, in the future date, the elimination of nations and a worldwide socialist commonwealth. Another aspect of our philosophy is that we're explicitly anti-racist, we're explicitly anti-sexist, and we are explicitly gender fair to people who reflect any type of sexual orientation in society.
So you're anti-oppression.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Karl Marx and Engels. Is it Friedrich Engels?
Frederick Engels.
Frederick Engels. Mm-hmm. Engels. And they wrote, was it the Communist Manifesto?
And Capital, and the Holy Family, and